Hey everyone, the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at the Mechanicum Skitarii for Warhammer the Horus Heresy. Now, this was kindly sent as a complimentary review copy by Games Workshop and is completed by Skitarii, the Steel Hand of Mars. Now this is the most recent in sort of almost what I would call like a micro supplement from Workshop for the Horus Heresy, which usually involves some type of battle box or expansion. The most recent one I believe was for the Saturnine Terminators and Dreadnought and that like mark of armor. And what it is it's kind of a deep dive on a particular aspect of a certain army. So in this case, the Skitarii. Now, my first remembrance of like a reference to the Skitarii was actually in the Titan Legions box set for Epic Warhammer 40,000, where they're describing the troops stored in the legs of an Imperator Titan as Skitarii. They're basically like a light infantry that was there to defend all of the Titans from ground attacks by small forces and ambushes and sort of like, you know, the like subterfuge you would have to use to take on a larger model. And over time, the Skitarii have evolved into their own thing. And what this book does is really give us a deep dive into who they were, the flesh shrivening that they go through, where they're not really people anymore. They have no individualism. They're part of a gestalt consciousness that's actually driven by the body that they wear, the Corpus Skitarii, which is their machine body basically that is overlaid on their nervous system and just like the architecture of like their brain. And a little bit of like lore as to what happens when the Fabricator General unleashes the Death of Innocence, blows up half of Mars. And if there are these like perfectly coded robots that, well, not even robots, but like perfectly coded warriors that are designed only to serve the Fabricator General of Mars, why do some of them actually side with the Imperium and the Loyalist forces? It's a neat book. Again, it's just a soft cover, print, like a glue bound, like supplement style box. It's almost like this is almost exactly the same printing style as a 3rd edition 40K codex. It's even the same page count. That makes me wonder if this was done by the same guys that did 3rd edition codexes. And then again, we have this lovely plastic box set, which we'll take a look at right here. So you're gonna get 16 Skitarii, a Skitarii Battle Pylgrim Marshal, because they come in like these corpuses, which are like divisible by 16, and then a Volcatrax Stratos Automata, which is kind of like their minder, their servitor, fuller cover build instructions. And you can see here the character, flight stand, and models are all, to the quality you expect right now from Horus Heresy stuff. They mostly build one way, but there is a decent amount of like posability options on the arms and stuff. They're not too built or too structured with to put together. I think they're on 28s. Yeah, 28 mil bases. You can see here like the arms do have flat sockets, and you can mix and match some of the gun hands and stuff as well to give them slightly different poses. So not the like ultra regimented, you can only make this one way type of thing. And if you are a kit basher, obviously just a gajillion miles of bits in here. I love their like backwards jointed knees, weird goat legs, the kind of like Strider-like look to them. And the core design here is around the fact that in the prehistory of Mars, right, you have a machine culture that worships the Omnissiah, serves the Mechanicum, and it comes up around technology, surviving on this like wasteland planet. These guys are these techno-nomadic clans. Their bodies were designed to survive fighting like the cyborg carnivores of Mars. And basically you're on such a string out on Mars that they had to make these like sort of like slaved to each other, almost like social, almost like ants, you know what I mean? Like a networked system of scrappers to try and get what they could out of the radioactive sands of the planet. So a neat kind of backstory for them. Think of them almost like robotic Fremen on Dune, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like they're able to survive the environment by having altered themselves. Spice for Dune, cybernetics for these guys. So, can't really ever impeach the model quality coming out of Games Workshop, and this stuff is no different. And the fact that it keeps some of its like, that's really kit bash Enos. It's not designed to be kit bashy. They're like a faceless legion of gunmen, right? But the potential for kit bashing and the grim darkness of it is sort of baked in here. Once again, full color, 48 pages, 50-page book. I do think this is exactly the same page count as the 3rd edition codex, which for some reason is pleasing to me. I don't know why. And we get our background here, who the Skitarii are, like I said, the Battle Pilgrims of the Skitarii, the fact that they're basically these like legions that serve the Fabricator General, the way that they go through a flesh shrivening, where their flesh is removed and replaced by the corpus Skitarii, and that the Skitarii are considered almost immortal because they'll recover what they can from it, repair it, and then put another of their like conscripted, tithed human systems in them, and then overlay their brains with these engrams that have the memories of anyone that's ever worn the corpus Skitarii. So they're sort of like Achilles Myrmidons, you know, these faceless killers that are all kind of interchangeable. And the idea is that, like, you know, they're just an unquestioningly loyal war machine that serves at the whim of the Fabricator General. Now, they do a Star Trek logic bomb problem as to why some of them dissent and join the Loyalists, because Kelbor Hall obviously is the Fabricator General. They're supposed to serve the Fabricator General. The idea here is that about a third of them, witnessing Kelbor Hall's destruction of Mars, unleashing all of these like Dark Age relics and attacks on the planet itself, flipped a switch in them where he was no longer the Fabricator General. To attack Mars is to attack the Mechanicum. To attack the Mechanicums for Civil War means you're no longer the Fabricator General. So they just switched loyalties to the Fabricator General in exile, who was his successor, and immediately changed sides, like just by witnessing him attack the planet. So he kind of creates his own enemy in that regard. And while these guys are vastly outnumbered by the Auxilia and the Legions Astartes, like if you ever think there's more Space Marines than there is Skitarii, they didn't make that much of a difference to the war, but they are of significant import in the defense of, like, you know, Titans, and Titans being such a hugely impactful part of the Horus Heresy, the Skitarii played a fairly significant role. So you get your cool captain models, and you can see sort of how they evolve into the Mechanicus stuff from today, out of the Mechanicum. Obviously, I think there's a little more humanity probably in the Skitarii of today. These are very much like just automata with human nervous systems baked into them. The Venators, Karaknos, the Triaros, obviously are their key transports. Those all got models recently. And then we get some famous battles that they took part in, and the loyalty paradox, obviously, of watching them destroy half the planet of Mars and have to, you know, basically fight their way through the rest of the heresy on two sides, even though their logic should dictate they wouldn't be fighting each other. And it's like a weird time for the Skitarii themselves. Some key dates and battles. And then a legendary Milson, the Vault of Tharsis. So the Battle Pilgrims of the Skitarii are basically tasked with securing lots of these like Dark Age relics. And Kelbor Hall, just in the initial first wave of attacking Mars and trying to like subdue it and kill all the loyalists and kill off everybody who wasn't loyal to him, he depletes like a huge amount of like his weaponry. And so because he's used it to destroy and like pacify like these Night Households and all these Titan legions in the first like few hours of their the Death of Innocence, he has to go and unlock a bunch of vaults. That's basically what this is representing. He's got to find some relics. So things like maybe like the key code, like an Ordinatus. There's a great Horus Heresy book about, I think who is it, Lionel Johnson secures an Ordinatus from, I think, the Word Bearers, like one of like the openly traitorous legions at the beginning of the war. And he's like, this thing's too dangerous for anyone else to have it. I give it to you because you're the only one I can trust. And he gives it to Petarabba. Petarabba's like, yeah, man, we'll be good. Don't worry. We won't use this for any bad reasons. And of course, like totally screwed. Like, so you think that the loyalists are winning, but they don't know how betrayed they are yet. It's a good little bit. Some model showcases. Like I said, just love the stilt legs. They're walking through the ashes of Mars. You can see some of the other model kits here too, like the Myrmidon Tagmata, the Destructors and stuff. Wonderful diorama. I think this is one of the ones that Warhammer World had done some photography on, with the destroyed Warlord Titan. And then we got, I think those are supposed to be Sons of Horus. Yeah, it looks like it, fighting them. And then we got another Relic Hunt mission pack. Once again, it's 3 different missions, 3 different sets of deployments for them to hunt down some relics to use. And then the army list. So this is a full army list. Building a Skitarii army. Each unit in the Skitarii Conclave army list is a core unit and is not specific to a particular allegiance, represented by the allegiance tag. When you add such a unit to your army, the trait is replaced with either loyalist or a traitor. So they're kind of a blank. They're a neutral army. Some units may be introduced to this army list in further publications and will have either loyalist or traitor trait in the unit entry. And that would be the specific ones that would like follow Kelbor Hall or the loyalist Fabricator General. And then Vassal of the Forge Lords. If the primary detachment of the army is selected from the Mechanicum Tagmata army list, An allied detachment selected from the Skitarii Conclave's army list does not count towards the 50% maximum in the total point limit for a battle. So if you're playing with the Tagmata, these guys don't eat into really your allied force because they're just supposed to be there, right? They're recruitable by anybody else. There are some sub-factions. They represent the Conclave of the Skitarii Battle Pylgrims as they exist up to the point of the Horus Heresy's rebellion. However, that does not mean that they can only be used to represent armies of the Loyalist Legions, and players should feel free to use them however they want because they could split in half based upon the schism. All right, the Acquisitor. All models with the Acquisitor trait, excluding the models in the vehicle type, gain the Line 1 special rule. Expurgator, all with this trait, excluding models in the vehicle type, gain Vanguard 3 special rule. Vindictor, for allegiances, or who are loyalist. All models of the Vindictor trait, excluding models with the vehicle type, increase the rule value of any instance of deflagrate or any weapons that they have by +1. So if you have deflagrate, basically theirs is, like higher functioning because the technology was more prevalent on the Skitarii side there. And then Scourger, all models of the Scourger trait, excluding vehicles, add +1 inch to setup moves to a maximum of 6 inches. So like their Vanguard move might go further. And then you got some advanced reactions here. The Marshal Elect. This reaction allows the controlling player to select an Ordinator to gain the command subtype and improve weapon skills and leadership. The trigger is once per battle. The reactive player can declare the Marshal Elect advanced reaction when a friendly Skitarii Battle Pylgrim is reduced to 0 wounds. The reactive player will spend 1 point of the reaction allotment to declare the Marshal Elect advanced reaction. That's paid as soon as it's declared. Target has to be a friendly unit with the Skitarii trait and at least 1 Ordinator model. So basically you can have somebody else come into control. And the process is in the end phase of any turn in which this advanced reaction is declared, the reactive player must select 1 Ordinator model from the target unit. The selected model gains the command subtype and has its base weapon skill, attacks, and leadership characteristic increased by +1. Additionally, the controlling player may select 1 melee weapon that the selected model has to gain the Icon of Authority special rule. So basically, it's kind of like the mnemonica rule in Infinity. If your leader dies, it hops to somebody else down the chain. And that's it's supposed to evoke their unbreakable chain rule, right? Where the idea is that they're always self-sufficient right down to the last Skitarii because they're battle engrams. All right, we got our Pilgrim Marshal, which you get a model in here for. He's 100 points. This dude's gonna be, almost a Space Marine. His strength isn't as high, but that's the fact that his augmentations make him tough. He's got 4 wounds, initiative 4, 4 attacks, initiative 9, and then some pretty decent stats otherwise. Cool 8, willpower 8, and intelligence 8 with a 4+ save and a 5+ invul. He's got his Voltlock handgun and Octorate Scepter. That's a friggin' hard word to say. It's a mouthful. And some fragging track. He's fast too. And this model may have its scepter replaced with either a face claw or a corpusant stave. So the handgun, 10-inch range, strength 5, AP 5, and 1 damage. And it's got pistol and defragate 5. It's Volkite weapons with assault. You can take an Archaeotech pistol, right? Slightly longer range and strength. It's got breaching 3+. Rad charges, haywire grenades, and the Octorate Scepter. Octorate. Melee weapon, obviously, with a strength +1, and then an AP of 4. Breaching 6+, and it's got the Icon of Authority rule. So that's going to pass down when you do somebody like with the advanced reaction to promote them. When a weapon with this special rule is selected to make attacks during the declare weapon step of the set initiative substage of the fight subphase. God, what a mouthful. Just say when selected to attack, because it can only attack that anyway. All models of the Skitarii trait that are part of the same unit as the model with a weapon with this special rule immediately recover from pinned, suppressed, and stunned tactical statuses. So basically, when this dude fights, you shake all of the status effects that were negative to you. And then if you want to fight your weapon, the face claw obviously is, rending and +2 strength, or +3 strength rather, with an AP of 2. And the corpusant stave gives you special rules like shock with the pinning, stunned, and suppressed. So 100 points for him, and then 100 points for a corpus. It's 1 Ordinator and 7 Battle Pilgrims. You get 2 corpuses in this box set. So looking at 300 points in the box so far. They're guardsmen, they're toughness 4 with 2 wounds. So the whole idea here is that they're hard to kill, right? Toughness 4, 2 wounds each. Initiative 3, 2 attacks, pretty fighty. 4+ save, 6+ invul, and they get their arquebuses, 20-inch range, 2 shots, strength 5, AP 5, 1 damage with deflagrate, and they're all Volkite guns. And then they could exchange the arquebus for a handgun and a power sword for free. You can get rad charges and haywire grenades, and they're fast too. Just a really decent, fight unit. The Bone Picker Host. I just love the name of this. And their battle line, right? This is the transport one, or the specialty one. I can't remember the name of that unit. And then fast attack over here. Unit composition of 10 Bone Pickers. May include up to 20 additional Bone Pickers at 5 points per model for 50 points. These are the Ostologe, or Bone Pickers, and hordes of numberless individuals that painstakingly come through the detritus of battle, salvaging the remnants of righteous war. So these are the guys that come along and pick up the Corpus Skitarii afterwards, as well as any other tech they can find. And they're just like thralls. Bone Pickers can be represented using the Cawdor Ganger bodies and Mechanicum Tech Thrall arms and weapons. So that's a great conversion idea, and I love that they gave you conversion units in here. Who says that the Horus Heresy is all about building units that you can only build one way now? Expendable 2, support unit, zealous followers. May use the characteristic of nearby Skitarii units when making characteristic checks. So basically, their leadership, cool, willpower, and intelligence are all 4, but they could use the 7s and 8s of the characters nearby. The Stratos Automata, it's another 100 points in here. So we're at 400 points in the box now. And it's a semi flyer, but with the stats of an infantryman, because that's the way this game works now. Strength up to 6, initiative 4, 3 attacks, right? It's got 6 wounds. Sorry, strength 5 up to 6. And then, guardsman shoot stats and a 12-inch move. It's cool as 12 because it's a vehicle, 3+ save, 5+ invul, arc blaster, and a missile launcher. Dendrite talent, so it can fight in melee if it wants to. User strength, AP 4, 2 damage, and breaching 6+ in melee. So the thing's not that safe to charge. And that missile launcher is with the shape charge, 36 in range, 2 shots, strength 10, AP 2 damage 2 with phage, panic, shock, stunned. And the arc blaster is just a decent gun, right? 6 shots, strength 6, AP 5, suppressive, and shock. And we got some rules for some conveyors and some Carachnos assault tanks. I don't think these have changed. I'm not going to spend too much time on them. I think they're the same, but they've given you the whole army list in here, which is nice. And then the Krios battle tank and the Krios Venator. Again, I don't think these have changed. And then a Liber Addenda, Myrmidon Destructor Host. So rule for these guys, and I think this is an update. As the Horus Heresy range grows and transitions from resin to plastic kits, there will occasionally be units and profiles from the various Liber boots need to be updated. So these guys are 150 points with a Destructor Lord and 2 Destructors. And you can see they got these wild new models. And this core unit can be included in attachments from the Mechanicum Tagmata army list. So strength up to 5. Again, like super heavy marine stats, right? 4 wounds each. They kind of remind me of the big fight suits that came out in 8th edition 40k, or was it 7th edition 40k? The stupid looking ones, but not stupid looking. Shock chargers are their main guns with frag grenades, and then they can take any Legion straight in their Myrmidax. They've got heavy infantry as their key rule, and then they've got a Destructor Lord who's got a champion as well. Bulky 3, Vanguard 3, Battle Meditation for the Lord only. And those rules are printed probably in the tag model list still. They can take culverins for free, and they must select one of these. An irradiation engine's 15 points per model, conversion beamer's 15 points, and a dark fire cannon's 20 points. So just bringing these up to speed with the new kit, which I believe is plastic from resin. And there we go. I do love the bloody heads on these guys. They're just like aspirating blood. What great miniatures. And they even put it on the tops of their tanks and stuff too. And that's it. The Journal Tactica, 3rd edition rules, I think that's called out. Skitarii, the Steel Hand of Mars, and the coinciding 400-point box of Skitarii. So great about this product so far, you can add it just directly to a Mechanicum Tagmatus army or as allies in a Loyalist or Imperium army. If you're just looking to add 400 points to an army, boom, paint that, self-contained, ready to go. You could buy some transports if you want to. I think a single... if you were doing like an escalation league, I think a single, I wouldn't do the Bone Pickers, but Carachnos assault tank, because it has transport what? No, it's the assault tank. Does that one have transport? No, it's not that one. It's this one. That's the battle tank, tank destroyer. Isn't there a Triros transport? What am I thinking of? Triros assault tank, Triros armored conveyor, that's the one right there. So this one's got the vehicle transport. And what can it transport? Transport 22. Yeah, so you put the whole damn thing in one of these. So you buy an armored conveyor, it's 500 points exactly. Yeah, the conveyor, all the characters and the Skitarii go inside it, and then you've got your Vulturax like flying along beside, and you've got a 500-point add-on. It's like kind of the perfect add-on to like an escalation campaign, and just good product design. It's a self-contained box, nice round numbers, and just gives you like a thematically cool, fun to paint thing. So, yeah, I would paint this because it means instantly my Alpha Legion, my Raven Guard, and my Sons of Horus can all just have the option of having Mechanicum allies, and they're just ready to go to the box. Or it also means I'm starting a 500-point army that I could potentially add to Tagmatum as well as like a core like base to things like Knights or whatever else. So good product design, because again, I like anything where you just buy the box and you can enjoy it. Obviously, you need to get the rule book on top of that if you want the rules for it. But if you want to take a transport, this is a 300-point like chunk. Transport kind of makes it like versatile, so you can go anywhere you want. And it's pretty good to go into the box. And nice looking models with a cool, weird, grimdark theme. I'm sure we're gonna see tons of hashtag 28 kit bashers. You know, like getting mileage out of these guys for all kinds of different games. So there it is, another GMG review. Big thanks for Workshop sending these along, and for you guys for watching. Thanks, Ash.